The story of hip-hop is just the storytelling of culture and of community. For so long, culture and community didn't talk about mental health.
People was afraid to talk about that back then.
None of us thought about these kind of things. These kind of things were shunned because,
taboo.
Yeah, you know, like, I don't even think we knew how to cry back then.
No, you couldn't cry.
I'm still learning. We grew up in the era where they said you had to be hardcore.
Yeah. All the
Literally.
time.
That was a genre.
It's beautiful that we're at a point in the culture where you can have those conversations. Probably if I went around the room, that's probably why we all fell in love initially with hip-hop and the music, is because it gave voice. It gave voice to people who were dealing with trauma, broke, starving. Grandmaster Flash.
Don't push me, cause I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head.
The message really did talk about mental health, but not in a direct way. It was really a song about unlivable conditions.
At night I can't sleep, I toss and turn, candlesticks in the dark, visions of bodies being burned. Four walls just staring at her. I'm paranoid, sleeping with my finger on the trigger.
Ghetto Boys.
Ghetto Boys mind playing tricks on me. Like, there's so many records that you hear now. You're like, oh, he was dealing with anxiety, he was dealing with depression, PTSD.
What we saw artists within that era of hip-hop is having to use these metaphors to really address systems of PTSD, depression. These are words that we have now.
I feel like for a lot of us, the hip-hop artists we were listening to were essentially like our shrinks.
Yeah.
They were our therapists.
Can you remember
like,
the first thing you heard that made you feel like that?
Tupac, keep your head up.
Keep your head up. I mean, he's a preacher in the hood, a preacher for positivity.
Pac was one of those rappers who really just soundtracked what life was like at the time.
His music was very vulnerable, but without actually having to say the words about mental health.
When Biggie released Suicidal Thoughts, it was a very powerful omen of what was to come with some other artists opening up and being honest.
Notorious B.I.G. made a song that really kind of talked about what a lot of people were feeling, even if they might have been afraid to say it out loud.
Stress is building up, I can't believe suicide's on my mind. I wanna leave
And a lot of ears were listening and perked up to the possibility of being honest about the internal trauma that they endured.
And I know that if I show up, really take care of my mental and emotional health, then I can really, 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 really fulfill the destiny that I think God has for me on this planet.
You've done an amazing job at making it okay and normal, to letting people know that it's okay to talk about your mental health. Where does that come from? When did it start? What was the thing?
Oh man, for me it was more like a kind of like a cry for help, in a sense, because you know I've been dealing with anxiety and bouts of depression my whole life. You know, I just didn't know what it was. I didn't have the language for it back then. And I remember just driving down I-26 in South Carolina, feeling like I was really about to have like that heart attack. And so I remember going to the doctor, and the doctor told me, you're healthy. But he was the first doctor that ever said to me, yo, you deal with anxiety? And I was like, anxiety, what's that? He was like, what you describing sounded like a panic attack.
You didn't even know the word.
I didn't know what it was.
Like, and that's why I love how, like, you went and made a book. Everything you said about mental health, you didn't only just speak about it, but you went and acted on it.
I mean, I don't know, Joey, you come at a different time.
I feel like, you know, my first conscious encounter with the concept and subject of mental health was when I was 17 years old and I had lost my best friend to suicide. After that, I had went into a long period of depression. You know, I feel like there was a lot of pressure on me as a young black man to produce through my pain, to like take care of everybody, you know what I'm saying?
How did you manage that?
Through many different ways, different coping mechanisms.
Grind his ass off.
Exactly.
I run away from my problems knowing I need some help. With these drugs, with my mental health.
I distracted myself with work, you know what I'm saying? And in the moments that I did get that quiet time, my demons was attacking me.
You fast forward to Coi, right? And to Coi's generation. I feel like your generation is way more willing to say, I'm I have depression. I'm depressed.
Yeah.
I have anxiety.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with trauma. Is that a comfortable thing for you to do?
It is a comfortable thing. I think mental health is everywhere. As a celebrity, as being in the limelight, we just got to kind of, you know, just bring awareness into it.
But I still got anxiety, that's why I keep it on me. Sometimes I feel like I can't trust no one around me, 'cause I got anxiety.
I love that we're having this conversation because it's reality. I couldn't talk about this 10 years ago.
That's what I was going to ask you.
I
Because
couldn't.
of the evolution of you even.
Yeah.
Right? The evolution of who you are now. And I think that is a representation of where the culture has come.
Because I lost a daughter. How I make it happen and get through it, I got to get out and do something for somebody else too. That's doing something for myself.
It hits different when, you know, I rest in peace to your daughter. Like, it hits different on that level.
I've lost a daughter to suicide.
Damn, sorry to hear that, brother.
I'm sorry, baby. You made a conscious decision to be vulnerable, to talk about losing your daughter. Why did you, and how was it received?
Well, I knew I was unhealthy, and I knew that emotionally, somehow I was detached from, you know, my history of what I've been through outside, what I've seen, what I've done, made me somewhat detached, and then I gravitated to the cowboy ego and pride, and my ego and pride was actually running my life. Most of us are a product of our environment until we learn how to be a product for our environment. And I said, I'd rather be a product for my environment than a product of my environment.
When Jay-Z is speaking to the New York Times, admitting that he went to therapy, this is remarkable that we can talk about this, that we can admit it.
Our culture in general, you know what I'm saying? There's less outlets for us to get help and receive help. Now I do therapy and I love it.
Rappers are becoming more comfortable with taking the same level of authenticity and applying it to their real lives and also using their public platforms to talk about it. I have so much hope that that's going to continue and that they're going to continue not only making music that addresses it, but talking about it in the very large platforms that they have.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.